Okay, so I am joined by Charles Eisenstein for this Spread the Love Google Hangout. Hi, Charles.
Hello, Kat.
Thanks for joining us. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm living in Pennsylvania here in the eastern U.S.
Awesome. So, yeah, yet another, well, it's not even cross-Atlantic, cross-Pacific
Yeah.
hangout. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We're so grateful to have you with us. And so tonight at Spread the Love, we're going to be talking about being in service. So that's going to be one of the things that I'd like to talk to you about. But first and foremost, I know you spoke at the Amazing Uplift Festival at the end of last year. So I just wanted to ask you about how Uplift was for you, that experience.
Yeah, I go to a lot of conferences and things like that, and there was something special about Uplift. It's hard to put my finger on it, but it had something to do with who was there. Um, and I got the feeling that even the organizers were not the real creators of that festival. They were maybe the instruments of the festival creating itself or something like that. Um, and so for me, it was kind of the alchemy of what happened, of the different people there, the things that were said, maybe even the land itself. I don't know, but it definitely stands out in my mind. I mean, speak, 100, 200 times a year, and it was a special one. Um, yeah.
Awesome, and again, I know that every year the speakers and the co-creators of the live event meet together beforehand, and
Mhm.
obviously, as festival goes, we don't really get to experience that. So I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that experience and how that was for you.
Yeah. I'm going to take my glasses off, actually. Um, what I just said actually applies even more to the gathering beforehand. It brought, there were maybe 70, 80 of us at the gathering beforehand, and it brought us together in a way that allowed us to hold the whole thing in the 4 days of the actual festival. And it was a really special time. I got to connect deeply with a lot of other people who are ordinarily, I mean, I run into some of them at conferences and stuff, but to actually spend a week together in, a deep space, that was that's something I don't get to do very much, and that's true of a lot of them as well. A lot of us are busy people, and it kind of made me um, it amplified a doubt that I've had as I've gotten very busy. Is am I actually accomplishing more by doing more and being busier, or would I somehow accomplish more by doing less and by giving more emphasis to the empty spaces, and um, to the coming inward. And it's something that's been on my mind ever since the festival.
Wow, that's really interesting because that's been something that's been coming up for me in the last week as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, our culture, says that you can that the more you do, the more results you'll have, and we're encouraged to be efficient and productive. And it's true that if you're making $10 an hour and you work 20 hours, you'll make more money than if you work 10 hours. We have this, and we're so programmed by that way of thinking that it almost doesn't fit into our brain that you could work less uh, and get more done. And that could sound like a very you know privileged viewpoint, when so many people in the world are barely scraping by to survive. Although I've noticed that in the less, quote, developed parts of the world, people live by this way more than we in the developed world. they don't have this scarcity of time quite often. And I think that's one of the things that we have, that we're able to learn from the indigenous and learn from people who are not so civilized. And then we kind of got to practice it a little bit, we people who think that we're so spiritually advanced, no, we actually have a lot to learn. But it was a real joy to get together with the other Uplift folks and dive into that.
Awesome. And I think you might have already answered another question that I was going to ask you in terms of, were there any key takeouts or kind of aha moments for you at the festival where you were like, oh, I really want to take that into my life more as a result of the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I already said it. Yeah, I could add some more, but let's go with more is not necessarily more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then just quickly, because there are some people in the community who, you're very new to them and the notion of sacred economics. I was just wondering if you could just quickly explain, what sacred economics means to you.
Yeah. So that's the title of one of my books. And the basic idea is, how do we align money with what is sacred to us, or with what's becoming sacred to us? And so I address that both on a systems level. How can we align the money system with an ecological way of life? And I also address it on the personal level, because on both levels, this issue is coming up. On the systems level, very often, if you ask, why is this horrible thing happening on Earth? It's because someone's making money from it. The pressure of the financial system is causing us to basically strip mine the planet and convert it into money. And on a personal level too, very often what's sacred to somebody, what they really care about, what's beautiful to them, that's not the most obvious way for them to make money. Usually the choice is, well, should I do what I don't care about, or what even violates my morals or ethics, and make a lot of money, or should I follow my bliss, follow my passion, and be in economic uncertainty? That's what people are often faced with. And so the book is, it's about what to do about that. Like, here we are faced with this money system and money mentality that's anything but sacred. How do we make the transition? Because I don't think we're going to have a beautiful world, a better world, a survivable world, unless we bring money in alignment with our creativity and our desire to heal and to spread love. Those two things have to be in alignment, just like matter and spirit have to be in alignment, just like heart and mind have to be in alignment. This is the age of reunion, and we're bringing these things together.
Perfect. That is what I'm all about, and that's what Spread the Love is all about. It's about how do we live our truth and live our purpose and spread love, and through our businesses, and help one another and help the planet, and take care of that which is sacred in our lives, but still make a healthy living, still be financially abundant, and still be able to live a beautiful, blissful, exciting, abundant human life, which is what we're on the earth to experience. Yeah.
And it's important to me not to kind of trivialize that, and to say, oh, well, you just have to think abundant thoughts, and be in prosperity programming and that kind of stuff. Like, there are really deep confronting issues that come up. This is a path. And I mean, on the systems level too, we have to find ways to bring into form these beautiful desires that we have for justice, for peace, for ecological healing. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. And so, actually, this leads on beautifully. So the theme of this month's Spread the Love is about being in service, and it's a very strong message in the video that you and Ian have created, The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. And for me, it was a very strong message and theme at Uplift, and it was probably the biggest thing that I took away. It's like, how can I just live holistically in service? How can every action to the best of my ability and every word that I utter, every action I take be of service? So I would love to know, what does being in service mean to you and in your life?
For me, being in service is actually a recovery of my deepest selfishness. Let's use that word. In the old story, self-interest is contrary to the interest of others because the self is separate from others. But in the new and ancient story of interconnection, interdependency, interbeing, we're not separate from each other. And I understand in that story that what I do to the other, I'm also doing to myself. What I give, I receive. What I withhold, I lack. And so it's not a matter of, sacrificing self-interest in the name of service. It's a matter of understanding what self-interest really is and who I really am. It also, for me, it also involves a lot of kind of deprogramming myself from what I was brought up to believe about the world. More for you is less for me. Everybody else out there they're all trying to get to maximize their self-interest. And I would approach every social encounter even with this attitude of a little fear, a little guardedness, and a little avarice. What can I get from this person? So it's a huge mind shift to step into service, because it's not just about trying harder to be good. It's about really rediscovering who we are. And I think that can't happen. You can't even do that I don't think by will and intention. I think that shift begins with experiences that show us that we were not the separate selves that we thought we were. And those could be spiritual experiences that we call, spiritual. They could be experiences of generosity. They could be, to receive something, the experience of being unconditionally loved, of being forgiven, of dying and coming back, near-death experience. I mean, there's so many ways that we can be brought into a larger. It's an initiation. Something that makes the old self, the old world fall apart a little bit, or maybe totally fall apart. And then, I'm not who I've been taught I was. And that's what allows, at least me, those experiences are what initiate me into service.
Perfect. And so, I'm sure there are some people going, yeah, being of service, that's amazing. And, based on the old story, being of service might be helping someone who's sick in your family, or, giving a meal to a homeless person, or, just helping someone move. But again, and I know for me personally, this has required so much reprogramming and such a conscious creation of a new story. It's like, how do I run a business or make a living, or again, create financial abundance so I can pay my rent, so I can pay my bills, so I can travel, so I can still enjoy everything that I had as part of the old story when I was in separation and I was making money through a job that wasn't necessarily sacred and didn't mean much to me. But how do I live in service and create a new story that means I can still enjoy everything that I enjoyed before?
Right. So if you begin with that as a prerequisite, as a parameter, and say, okay, I'm going to be in service just as so long as I have a guarantee that I will not lose any of these things that I have in my old story, you're not going to make any changes at all. You have to make an offering. And the offering could very well be one of those things that you mentioned. It could be, and that's not to say that that offering will not be returned to you 100-fold. But at the moment you make that offering, you don't know how it's going to come back. You could lose it. And so you're going to have to, that's the passageway that leads, and it's not a one-time all or nothing thing. It's a series of life initiations, a series of choice points. And each one of them, there's like this altar there that we offer some aspect of our certainty, of our security, could be, material, financial, it could be intellectual, spiritual, psychological, something that we thought we knew, something that we relied on. Could be a relationship, or it could be, your guaranteed, secure, steady income. And it could be none of those things. But one thing is for sure, that in any transition to an expanded self, something has to be lost. And then, so this isn't, so like, yeah, you can't set that up as a prerequisite. But the results can be profound and unimaginable. And so, and I'm not excluding, kind of practical thinking. I mean, you might say step out of one career into another, and at the beginning you have no idea how, like everyone's telling you that's impractical, you're not going to make a living that way, and a little part of you is telling you the same thing. And then ways open up, and those ways might involve all of your acumen, your business experience, your skills, and so forth. So this isn't, a rejection of the practical material realm, but it's putting those skills in service to what you are in service to.
Perfect. So perfect. Cool. And then, so one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about is this notion of interbeing. It was the topic of the talk that you gave at Uplift. I recently watched the TEDx that you gave in Whitechapel last year, and the next month's Spread the Love is going to be about creating the new story, how we create the new story. So I would love you to just tell us a bit about what interbeing is, and how we can bring it into our lives more and live it.
Okay. So interbeing, I've been told, is a word coined by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a very natural word to describe what we are moving into. A little bit better than interdependency or interconnection, although it includes those things as well. And it's simply, I describe it as a new story, which is also an ancient story that answers basic questions in a different way than we're used to. Who are you? What's the purpose of life? What's the purpose for humanity? What's important? How does change happen in the world? These questions we've had answers to in the age of separation, and now those answers are changing. So no longer are we a separate self in a world of other in our imagination. Now we're understanding that we reflect the whole world. We're like a holographic image of everything, and that everything outside of ourselves mirrors something inside of ourselves. And everything we do to the world, we do to ourselves, and anything happening anywhere to the elephants or the sea turtles or the rainforests is happening to us. And no wonder we in civilization hurt so much, not connected to this. And so that's inner being. As for how to step more into it, I'm just a little cautious to make it into a list of tips or to-dos. That's kind of part of the old story. It says that the separate self is going to achieve this by its own efforts. Maybe this is something that we are brought into by each other. Maybe this is something that we seek out on a soul level, and that's why we go to places like Uplift, because we have experiences there and conversations, and we meet people who inspire us, and those forces bring us into that expanded state of interbeing. So I guess I would say, if you're kind of craving that to-do right now, I would say, let go of that. Because every little bit of information you get, every little influence that comes in, including perhaps this moment, changes who you are a little bit. And you become more of an interbeing as you take in these influences. So it's not something we achieve. Just like birth isn't something that an infant achieves. The mom does 99% of the work. It's easier to give birth to a live baby than a dead baby because the baby's responses ease the birth. Just as our responses, our aliveness co-creates with this mother that's giving birth to us. So I would say then, if I had any, general formula, I'd say follow that which makes you feel alive, which will probably be something that brings you into deeper service, because that's where the juice is. Because that's why we're here. We're not here to maximize our financial security and then die someday. We're here to contribute to something beautiful to us. So that's what makes us feel alive. That's what is the key to what some might call, spiritual development. And that's our deepest desire too.
Absolutely perfect. So yeah, essentially that was everything that I wanted to talk to you about and ask you. Yeah, unless there's anything else that you wish to share with us and to spread the love to the community, knowing who we are and what we're up to.
I'm not sure if I have anything to add. I know you're speaking next month with Bruce Lipton, so I guess I would say tune into that as well. This new and ancient story of interbeing has so many dimensions, and he talks about the biological dimension, that the nuclear DNA isn't like this discrete, separate seat of the separate individual, that we are in constant relationship down to the core of our being with everything outside of ourselves. And that's why, Bruce and I feel such resonance, and you might find that the people you're attracted to in your life now, and it can be very hard. I mean, you can be making this transition, and the people who had been in your life are kind of tugging you back, wanting, because they're uncomfortable, because they want it too, actually, but they're not maybe quite ready. So you'll as we go into this stage by stage by stage transition more and more into interbeing, we're attracted to people who are also going through this transition and standing in maybe a territory that we're just getting into. And you might not know why you feel attracted to these people. I'm not a biologist, but I might feel attracted to a biologist and his ideas, or to somebody trying to, working on prison reform or sea turtles, and like even though what I'm doing might be very different, we feel that common sense of alliance, that resonance, as we all make this journey together.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to bring our conversation to a close, and I'm going to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of all of the hearts of everyone involved with Spread the Love. And yeah, just thank you for being with us, and thank you for everything that you're doing and the beautiful and amazing message that you're spreading, because it's, for me personally, it's incredibly inspiring, and it's just, it galvanizes what I'm doing, and it galvanizes, I feel, what we're all doing, to just be constantly reminded that there are other people out there who are speaking, on a global stage now about this. It's not coming from the government necessarily, it's not coming from big corporations, it's just coming from people who are speaking the truth and are believing in a new story and are choosing to live that new story, to show everyone else that it's possible. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you, Kat, for your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, have a beautiful day. Lots of love.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.